Sabah everybody and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to unbox and do an initial impressions of the brand new LG V60 ThinQ, and this one is the 5G variant on T-Mobile. Now, as you probably already know, that on March 20th, these devices are going to be available directly through T-Mobile and hopefully in retail stores once everything kind of calms down a little bit and everything opens up again. But the main thing today is I'm going to share with you guys exactly what comes in the retail packaging, but not only that, also go through some of the main features that basically make this device so unique. Of course, as well as the dual screen case that you should be picking up if you're getting this device, as it not only augments the functionality, but it also actually makes this a very good gaming device. This is TK, and this is the LG V60 ThinQ. Like and subscribe and make sure you hit that bell icon so that you're always notified whenever we have new videos on the channel. What we have in front of us is the T-Mobile variant of this device. This is going to be sold for $7.99 on T-Mobile in the US, and this will not include the case. But if you do want to pick up the case at the same time, you do save some money. It's a little bit, about $100 more. So $8.99 for the entire package, the device, the V60 5G, as well as the LG dual screen. And the really cool thing about this is that once you do actually, let's say, pick up a 5G device directly from T-Mobile, there's nothing else that you need to do to your account. Just put in your SIM card and you're ready to go and enjoy the 5G on T-Mobile in the US. Keeping in mind that this version will not support millimeter wave, so even if you do unlock it, it will not support millimeter wave on Verizon. That version of the device is pretty much locked to Verizon the same way this one is locked to T-Mobile. The box itself is pretty simple. We get a welcome letter and of course some registration information to be able to extend the warranty on the device. We have a chamois to clean up the device with the nice LG moniker, some instruction manuals, and the SIM removal tool built in directly into this little box over here. A USB Type-C to USB Type-C charging cable that will be used with the US style plug. Now this is a quick charge 4.0 compatible 25 watt, well, basically certified USB fast charger. So we should be able to charge up our device quite nicely and quite fast. Not only that, the device that we have now has a 5,000 milliamp hour battery, which means we have so much more power to be able to charge, and we need faster charging technology. On top of the fact that we have obviously wireless charging there, but all in all, everything in here is pretty much set. You notice there is no headset included in the box, and that's not a problem. We actually have a headphone jack. As far as the dual screen display, we it's pretty simple here. We get the case. Again, it's a separate case, but again, you should pick them up definitely together. And of course, all we have to do is just remove the plastic. Now, before we go too far, I do want to read this a little bit for you guys. It does explain on how to insert the actual device into the case. So to insert it, you have to slide it in directly into the USB-C connector, and to basically pop in the right side first, then the left side. So in order of installation, down, pop in, everything should be good. And if we're going to remove the actual device, we do it the reverse process. We start pop to the left, top to the right, and then of course pull the device out. And as you can see, the case itself has a nice reflective material. There is a small display here, and this is very reflective, but there is a display that's basically sitting here. We have LG dual screen moniker over here, buttons on the left side for the initiation for the assistant, and of course as well as the volume up and volume down. On the right we don't have any cover, but of course on the inside we basically have just a small insert, an instruction manual that comes with it. And you notice that there is this little adapter, and I'll explain to you guys that once you're using the case, the actual cover on the bottom for where the USB-C cable normally goes in is covered. So you do need to use this adapter. What is really nice about it, obviously, is it's magnetic. So it's really cool. You can just basically snap it on, snap it off, and it works with the case that comes, well, the cable that comes in there. The insert here for the 3.5mm headphone jack is a little bit deeper. We have an opening for the bottom firing speaker, as well as the bottom firing microphone, well, the bottom microphone, and of course one for the top. And we have an opening here for the camera array. Lastly, keep in mind that you are able to actually use wireless charging while the device is inside of the case. That's also a nice benefit if you don't want to use the wired connection. What we have in front of us is the LG V60 ThinQ 5G. It's a 6.8-inch 1080p panel that is basically mirrored by the display that we have here on the case. So they use the exact same panel on both of these. We don't obviously have a fingerprint sensor. We don't have any of the functionalities that we have in here on there, other than the fact that it's the exact same panel when we use it with the actual display here on the case. And again, this is a USB style case connector. This is not a pogo pin connector the way we saw with the LG V40 from last year, where that one was basically, for the most part, only available in the Korean market. Now, you could probably already see that it says 4G LTE 5G is jumping between the two here, mostly because of where I am in the office. But I didn't get a chance to charge the device. We have 28%. It came about like around 40% out of the box. And I went through and downloaded and updated as much as everything that I could. The UI is the LG UI. This is running Android 10.0. I did turn on dark mode, so let's go ahead and go into the settings. And what we have here essentially is Android 10.0 with the February 1st, 2020 security patch update. And of course, this is running the LG UI on top. So obviously Android 10.0, no question about it. And the really cool thing about it is, for the most part, it is up to date as of last month's security patch update. I did select it to have the app drawer, so I still have the ability of swiping up if I want to, or I can just click the button here. And of course, you can basically set it up and run it the way you want. The display that we have here is at 20.5 by 9 aspect ratio, so it's going to be longer than what our normal devices are, but it definitely has a nice thinner holding in the hand. So even though it's 6.8 inches, still feels pretty nice, and we have Gorilla Glass 5 to protect it. Qualcomm 865 is powering this device, as well as it has the X55 modem for the 5G technology, and the T-Mobile variant will not support millimeter wave unless you have the Verizon version. That's the only one that will support sub-6 and millimeter wave. So T-Mobile will only carry basically the sub-6, as that's the technology that they're using for their 5G connectivity. As far as the actual RAM and storage, this one has 8 gigs of RAM, 228 gigs of internal storage, and one of the really cool things about this is that we still have an SD card. So you're able to put in a SIM card as well as an SD card. Now there's no dual SIM card version of this, and what I really like about this is I'm using actually some of the new Kingston memory cards that are available on the market. You're able to pick up different versions of them. There is basically the Campus Select, which is basically ready to run at 100 megabytes, well, 64 gig with a 100 megabyte transfer rate. Then you can jump over to the Campus Select Plus, which will also support 8K video recording, which is really, really nice. And that's the one I have in here at 128 gigs. You can see here, it basically read and write speed of 285 megabytes. And of course, you can go with the 4K variant version of this at 128 again. This is the Campus Go Plus. So all of these memory cards, I want to say thank you very much, obviously, to Kingston for allowing me to check them out. But they augment the ability of using this device. Now, this device will support up to 2 gigabytes of an SD card on top of the 128 gigs of internal storage in here. So before we jump into our camera application, let's go ahead and start talking about the cameras that we have on this device. First and foremost, we don't have a telephoto lens. So just be aware that there's 2 sensors with a time of flight sensor sitting on the back. So we have a 64 megapixel sensor that basically will be using pixel binning to give us more of an effective 16 megapixel image at a 1.6 micron sensor. But again, because it's a high megapixel sensor, we're able to zoom in and not lose any of the quality, enabling us to have somewhat of a telephoto functionality without needing a telephoto lens. The second sensor that we have here is a 13 megapixel ultra wide lens. So we have a wide and a standard focal length. The cameras that will enable us to record 4K at 30 frames, 4K at 60 frames, and 8K at 26 frames per second, but it's more of an effective 24 frames per second. So more of a cinematic look at the 8K range. We're going to get a chance to look at a few samples from that. HDR10 support video recording, and of course, time-lapse in 4K, of course, as well as video portrait mode and voice bokeh. The front-facing sensor is a 10 megapixel sensor that enables us to also record at 4K 60 frames per second, because the 865 from Qualcomm enables us to actually record, but that will be the maximum resolution. Voice bokeh will be present on both the front and the back sensors, and of course, all of that is going to be augmented with the fact that we have 4 microphones on this device, one at the top, one at the bottom, one on the side if I'm not mistaken, and then of course another one by the camera sensor, so that we actually have a better, higher quality audio recording, which is 1 microphone more than what we saw last year with the V40. When it comes to the case, as we saw before, what we need to do first and foremost is slide the device in. So you notice right there, I put the bottom part of the device in, slide it in, and then of course I snap 1, snap 2, and the device is in. So first thing, if you install it, it doesn't automatically turn on the second display. You do need to hit the button on the top and it says turn on dual display, and at this point both displays will turn on. I've already pre-programmed this with a nice wallpaper that mirrors itself with a nice color so you can see the aesthetics. I can swipe right and left here, and I can also swipe, open up the app drawer and swipe back and forth. This is where they kind of work somewhat independently from each other. You will notice though that on the right side, this actually still has a notch. I need to turn on something that has a white background. Let's turn on the, so here, the T-Mobile application will give us that information. So I never set it up. So you notice there's a notch there, and if I use the 3-finger slide, it does the exact same thing. We only have a camera on the right, but what they wanted to do is they wanted to use the exact same panel on both sides of the display. Last year with the V50 had a higher resolution display than the actual side panel, and it ended up having to downsize the resolution to make it work. This year, both of them work exactly the same. There is no issue. And of course, I know some people are going to ask, why do we have a notch when we don't actually have a camera? It's purely for symmetry, but it also is because they use the exact same panel. It's because when you look at something on the right side, if I switch it over to the left side, it looks the exact same way on the left. It's much better for us to have the same display, the same color temperature, and the same calibration on both sides so that we don't have any disconnection in the actual the resolution and the experience. The case itself will fold all the way to the other side of the device, but once you do that, it does get disabled. There's no touch issues here, and you notice that the button did go away. It will block the back camera, so just be aware if you do this, you won't be able to see it. But what I find that it makes it really, really nice is that if you have it in more of a, let's say, a pyramid shape, it actually works very nicely to prop the device for us to watch, or you can also do it the other way, which actually enables it to basically become more of a gamepad. You notice this actually is very nice and primed to play games. There are certain applications that will work very nicely with the dual display. So let's go ahead and turn on the Whale app. So here, I'll go ahead and turn it on, and you'll notice once I turn it on, it gives me the access of basically putting in wide view. So wide view enables us to open it up. So I'm going to go ahead and go back, and it's more of a launcher style. So I can actually turn it sideways, and it actually will align. And you notice the image, yeah, there's always going to be that little thing here. But this enables us to not have to worry about a folding display or some type of folding technology. It gives us access to the full display. And of course, we can able to actually open up different things. So we'll open it up here. I'll just say got it. And we can scroll through up and down. And of course, there are other applications that are supported here. So let's go ahead and go home. And we'll go ahead and open up the YouTube application. So here's the YouTube application. By default, it opens up on the right. I'm going to go ahead and open it up here. I'm going to say full view, so the wide view. And you can see I'm actually able to scroll, open up. I can go to the Explore tab, check out everything. And of course, this is more of an aesthetical thing that you have to kind of get comfortable with it. You are able to basically open it up sideways. And again, it gives you that list. And it really works even better when you're in YouTube or even when you're using, let's say, Gmail, because it opens up the tablet version of Gmail. Chrome does also have the exact same functionality. I had to sideload the Asphalt 9, and I'll explain to you guys what happened there. But I can actually do the exact same thing, go to wide view, opens it up, and I'll go ahead and say cancel. I'm able to basically scroll all the way down. And of course, I can just type it in here. The keyboard does split, so I'll say Google, and I'll say google.com, and it opens up here, and I'm going to say just right there. So we can open up Facebook's new web interface, that we can see different things, and it just works really, really nice. Conversely, you can open up two apps separately from each other. So here's the YouTube application, and let's go ahead and swipe up, and let's say I want to open up the Instagram application. I can have them open together, and I can use the 3-finger gesture, swipe from one side to the other, and I can go home. But check this out. I can actually swipe it once. It brought back the application that was there, and I can swipe it again, and it goes home. So it keeps a memory of what device or apps are running on what side, and it looks really, really nice. And it just, again, works really good. Let's go ahead and launch real quick a quick game. Here's Asphalt 9. I'm going to go ahead and turn it on, and I am going to click the button here to turn on the gamepad. So LG gamepad, turn it on, and of course you just want to disable this option, and it turns on the gamepad right away, and it literally makes this just the best option possible. And because we have stereo speakers, we have the bottom firing speaker here and the stereo speaker on the left, this becomes very nice. So again, definitely very good. The weight is heavy on the top, so you do want to basically do it this way. And what you need to do is just make sure you turn on the vibration, and we'll go ahead and say yes. We'll say next. So for a quick audio sample, we're going to go ahead and play Jumbo by Alex Scrindo. This is an NCS release. I'll go ahead and raise the volume all the way to the highest level. Again, this is going to just show you guys the quality of the audio straight out of the stereo speakers that we have here. On the actual camera itself, as we talked about it again, the sensors that we have here are quite capable of providing us great pictures. So we have a photo mode that gives us the ability of using the main sensor. 2x optical zoom, again, this is using the 64 megapixel sensor that we have there, no telephoto, but we're not losing any detail. And of course, the 0.5, which gives us access to that wide angle lens to be able to see a lot more with our video, with our images. There is an AI engine here, an LG engine that enables it to kind of trying to do a better scene detection. If you don't want it, just go ahead and click it and it disables itself. Otherwise, by default, it is turned on. Google Lens is present here on the right side. We have video tab mode, which enables us to be able to record. Again, 4K, 60, 8K at 24 frames per second, and of course 4K 30, 1080p 60, 1080p, and standard 720p. And if you notice right there, there is that little microphone that's present there. This gives us access to be able to turn on a couple of modes. First mode is called ASMR mode, which enables it to actually have very sensitive microphones for sounds, so be able to basically pick up like nice, like small sounds as we've seen in some of those ASMR videos. The last one is the voice bokeh option, which enables us to focus audio on the actual subject. And this works great because it not only works on the back-facing sensor, but it also works on the front-facing sensor to give us access to the best experience possible for whomever is the subject. Really good. And I'm actually going to show you guys both the 4K 60 on the back sensor and the front facing sensor using voice bouquet to be able to isolate my voice from everything around me. We have a time-lapse functionality that also enables us to use the sensors as well as the 4K, the wide angle lens. And of course, I just forgot to mention to you guys, even though we only show a 2x optical zoom, we actually still have the ability of zooming in all the way up to 10x. And I'll show you guys a few pictures right now of some of those images that I took out of the right here in my backyard. We do have a portrait mode as well, which I'll show you guys also in those images of my son. And there's a nice little 3D option that was really, really cool. And we also have some sticker options to be able to add some 3D AR ones. We have a night view, panorama, manual camera, manual video, as well as slow-mo, YouTube live streaming, as well as AR stickers. There is ways basically to download additional ones, so let's go ahead and hit agree. And you've obviously been able to download the CineShot as well as the 360 panorama and install those directly on your device. So downloading them very easy, and of course adding them directly into your list makes it very simple. So I can go back and you'll notice right now they've just been added directly into my list. What I did want to show you guys real quick with the portrait image, which is really, really cool. So here's some images that I took of my son, but there's no way really to show it to you guys without actually showing it on camera. That while I took a standard image of him, I'm actually able to do that little bit of a 3D effect that you can get that we've seen sometimes on Facebook. So this does it natively in the actual application and it works really good. But let me go ahead and stop talking to you guys through here. Let's do a quick sample of those video shots that I mentioned. This is a quick front-facing video, 4K 60 frames per second on the brand new LG V60, I would say ThinQ 5G. Again, this is the T-Mobile variant. But what I wanted to show you guys real quick is just how does the voice bouquet function. Now, the original sample that I did for you guys a couple of weeks ago was using pre-production software. Now, this is production level as this is a retail unit. So this is a quick sample of the back-facing camera. We're using the voice bouquet functionality. Again, hopefully you're not listening to any of the birds or any of the sounds behind me. But I wanted to actually show you guys this experiment because I'm actually able to see a portion of the display. I flipped the actual cover of the phone all the way to be kind of almost halfway, so just slightly outside of the field of view of the actual lens. And I'm actually able to initiate the video, also make sure that I'm actually centered and I can see myself. Now, of course, the dual display functionality needs to have the case in there. So if you don't have the case in there, obviously it's not going to work. But again, a good sample, 4K, 60 frames per second. So now we're recording at 8K, full resolution at 24 frames per second using the brand new V60 ThinQ. What I wanted to show you guys real quick is just basically how does the colors, how's the actual detail level. Keep in mind, this is not intended to be on any kind of like very fast moving subjects, but the main benefit, of course, is the ability of actually hitting 8K at 24 frames per second guaranteed. LG has learned over the years with the different implementations of the dual screen. Last year, we had a couple of devices, the LG G8X as well as the LG V50, supporting a dual display technology, but depending on the iteration or the version of the device that you got, you had a different experience. The V50 had a pinned connector that was only available in the Korean market. The LG G8X did actually come out later with a better resolution or better implementation, but again was only available later in the year and not everybody was carrying it. This one is now going to be carried here in the US with T-Mobile and again as well as Verizon and other carriers, and it will also be optimized to work for these carriers specifically. So the great thing about this is that this is providing us a really good experience, as you guys saw with the pictures and the videos that I'm sharing with you guys, that this is actually a quite capable device. It has a 3.5mm headphone jack with a quad DAC built in for amazing audio, stereo speakers. We have 4K 60 on the front-facing sensor, 4K 60 on the back, as well as 8K at 24 from the main sensor on the back. We have a wide-angle lens, a time-of-flight sensor, and of course expandable storage, of course up to 2 terabytes with an SD card. So a lot of cool things. And the case option, if you are going to pick up the V60, I definitely recommend you picking it up at the same time so that you're able to actually save some money. Actually, it's $100 more. So $799 for the device with T-Mobile and $899 with the actual case. Getting it out, getting my SIM card in here, doing a couple of speed tests. I noticed that obviously the speed tests are going to be a little bit better once I'm in a better area for coverage, but I'm still getting pretty good speeds with 5G and LTE in my area, which is really functional. All in all, wireless charging, a massive 5,000 milliamp battery, fast charging on the wired side, as well as the magnetic case, which is really functional. So you connect this to your cable and you literally can actually just throw it and it just goes in there and it gets stuck. Really cool, makes things very easy. And of course, the 3.5mm headphone jack. This looks to be a very promising video, and of course, let me know in the comments below what would you like me to focus on for the LG V60 ThinQ as far as feature focus, specifics as far as the cameras, the voice bouquet, the sound speakers, as well as the actual DAC and how that performs. And of course, please look forward to me and Juan Carlos Bagnell doing a couple of live streams together, also of course talking about this brand new baby. Like and subscribe as usual. Thank you very much for the support, and I'll see you guys in the next video.